Billy Joe, better known as B.J. Thomas, once recorded a song called Raindrops. It was so successful it almost killed him. Here it is.
Just like the guy whose feet are too big for his bed, nothing seems to fit. Those raindrops are falling on my head, they keep falling. So I just did me some talking to the sun.
BJ's a guest here tonight. What do you think when you see that? Film?
Well, at that time, really in my career, I had become so involved in the drug thing till it seemed like it really was another person that was doing all this stuff, that was having all this success. You know, it was right after I had hooked on a feeling, and then I got the chance to go to work with Bacharach and David, and it put me into a. When I started my singing career, I come from Houston, Texas.
I see a Texas shirt.
Yeah, you see
looks better than your Edwardian suit did.
I hope Daryl's watching. Anyway, I started out with the Dick Clark type of rock show, and then when I got in with Bacharach, well, it put me in a tuxedo thing, you know, with the big bow ties and the dancing girls and the bicycles and everything.
Las Vegas and the Copa and that kind of thing?
And well, the Copacabana, I almost made it through the Copa. I know I made one 2-week engagement, and the second week I made it 3 nights in one show, and then I told my manager I had to do some thinking, and could I take a walk? And he said, sure, you can take a walk, you know. So I put my coat on, and I left the show business about almost 3 years ago.
You just walked out of the Copa and out of show business?
I couldn't stand it anymore. It was like the 4th day of the booking, and I was already up to 50 pills, and I was just projecting ahead. I had, 10 more days to do or something like that. How many pills was I going to be on every day?
What kind of pills were they?
They were Ambars or Opadrine LA or any kind of up I could get, you know.
Well, how many concerts, how many performances were you doing, say, in a year period?
Well, I would do, over a period of about 4 or 5 years, I did anywhere from 280 to 300 one-nighters a year. And then, which I was more or less very naively involved with pills before then. Well, when I first started singing, I was 15, and I was signed to just a local small-time producer in Houston, and he'd say, here, man, take one of these and make you feel great, you know, because I'd be tired at the session. I said, man, I want to go home and go to sleep. And he'd say, take one of these and make you feel great. And I'd take one, and it made me feel great, you know. So I took them, but not really knowing what they were going to end up doing to me, really, until really it was too late. I was at the point where I was taking, like, I'd wake up, when I'd wake up 2 or 3 or 4 in the afternoon, I'd lay me about 40 out, and I'd start off till I took the 40, till I got to where I wanted to be, you know. And of course, if you take 40 and you start coming down, then you got to take 80 to get back up to where you were. And it was just, I was so wrung out at the time that I had to get away from it, you know. And there had been times when I had taken sleeping pills, like I'd take my sleeping pills on a Monday, and I wouldn't wake up till Friday. And I thank the good Lord that He gave me a good wife who pulled me through this, because she would wake me up from time to time and feed me, you know. She'd feed me 2 or 3 times a day, and I never would know it, but...
Well, how much did the record companies themselves have to do with you getting so involved with drugs?
Well, the record company I was with at the time was Scepter Records, and they had nothing whatsoever to do with drugs as far as I knew. And as far as I know, they still don't. I never got any drugs through my record company, but there was always, at that time, back in '66 and, well, let's get back to the right time, around '69 and '70, it was, drugs were fairly inexpensive, and they were easy to get, and I always would buy me 10,000 pills at one time, and so I could feel secure, and there was actually at one time I felt like that I would never be able to sing again unless I took a handful of ups. I just didn't think it would be possible. I remember one particular time I missed 9 bookings one month, and it cost me $200,000 just to work. So we figured, well, this isn't working out very well, and I sat down with my manager, Steve Tyrell, and we decided that the thing for me to do was to stop. You know, after I walked out of the Copa, I did continue to work my college one-nighters, but sometimes I'd go to a one-nighter and it'd be the house would be full of people, and I would just get so scared, and I know they could read my mind and things like this, and I was just crazed, and I'd leave and the place would be full, you know, and do crazy things like that. So finally I did get out, and I was very lucky to have some good advice. I sought professional help. I went to an analyst, and the first thing that happened within about 30 days or so, I was off the pills. I said, well, it made me feel sick to go to the analyst, if you know what I'm saying.
Sure
so
do.
I said, well, if I quit taking the pills, then I don't have to go see this guy. But of course, the problem was more deeply rooted than just taking the pills, and I continued to see him,
And you got yourself straight.
and I got my head on now about as straight as it's going to be. Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk more about BJ today in a minute, okay? BJ and I'll be right back.